Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my week number 5 tight end rankings for fantasy football in 2021. Inside today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my top 24 ranked tight ends of the week, as well as discussing why I have them ranked at each and every single spot inside the top 24. But before we do get on into things, I would like to ask, if you are new to my channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below. And whether you are new to the channel or not, make sure you hit that like button down below to help boost this video up the algorithm so that more beautiful people like yourself can see today's video. I'd also like to ask, if you guys are on Twitter and would like to follow me, to please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. The link to my Twitter is down below in the video description. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 5 tight end rankings, beginning at number 1 with Travis Kelce, tight end of the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against the Buffalo Bills. Now, I've talked about this a lot during the videos of the week, but this is going to be one of the best matchups of the week and potentially one of the best matchups of the season on Sunday Night Football between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have been playing very well throughout the first 4 games this season. The Kansas City Chiefs, they've been just about all right. They're definitely not living up to the expectations that I put on them, as well as a majority of people who are watching the NFL expect the Kansas City Chiefs to be one of the best teams in the NFL, and they just frankly have not looked like that, at least at the beginning of the season. Could things change? 100%, because I still believe on paper they're one of the best teams in the NFL. This is a game that could have a very high scoring total between two of the best offenses in the National Football League, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, and to me it wouldn't even matter really what the matchup is for Travis Kelce, because every single week you're going to have to rank him inside the top 3, and most weeks he is the number 1 overall tight end because of how involved he is on such a high scoring offense inside the NFL. Patrick Mahomes loves throwing the ball to Travis Kelce. I expect this to be a high scoring tit for tat back and forth affair between the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, which will lead to tons of points going to Travis Kelce. At number 2, we have Darren Waller of the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Chicago Bears. Now, the Chicago Bears defense is not what it was the last couple of seasons. Back just a couple of years ago, or maybe even just last year, they were one of the most feared and one of the best defenses in all of the National Football League. But this season, things are not really going their way, and while they don't look like a complete and utter dumpster fire defensively, they're nowhere near as good as the last couple of seasons. Darren Waller should have no issue having a humongous game here up against the Chicago Bears. He looked really good last week up against the LA Chargers, a better defense in my mind than the Chicago Bears. I think Derek Carr has a bounce back game, and a lot of the time that Derek Carr's throwing the ball, it's going to Darren Waller, who's one of the most dominant tight ends in the NFL. Him and Travis Kelce are basically ranked 1 and 2 every single week, regardless of the matchup. But I do like this matchup up against the Bears, just like I like the matchup for Travis Kelce up against the Buffalo Bills. Darren Waller is my tight end number 2. At number 3, we have TJ Hockenson, tight end of the Detroit Lions, going up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Now, some people are going to wonder, Nick, where's Tyler Higbee? Where are all the tight ends that played on Thursday night? I just want to make it clear right now, I do not include the tight ends or the running backs or the quarterbacks or the wide receivers that play on Thursday night, because they already played, and I don't see any need in harping over them again because they already had their game. So at number 3, TJ Hockenson, tight end of the Detroit Lions, going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, week number 1 and week number 2, TJ Hockenson came out of the gate on fucking fire. This guy was playing amazing. And then in week number 3, week number 4, he kind of settled down a little this week up against the Minnesota Vikings. That is definitely a defense that the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff can get to. TJ Hockenson is still the number 1 target, the number 1 receiver on this team, and he plays tight end, so I think TJ Hockenson could be in for a huge spot after 2 disappointing weeks in a row. At number 4, we have Dawson Knox, one time, if you're with me, tight end of the Buffalo Bills, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Dawson Knox is just on fire. He was heating up week 1 and 2, and now he's officially on fire. If this is NBA Jam rules, the guy keeps scoring fucking touchdowns. All he does is score touchdowns. All DJ Khaled does is win. All Dawson Knox does is score fucking touchdowns. The guy scores basically every single game. Going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in what could be a back and forth affair, you better believe there's a very high chance that Dawson Knox finds his way into the end zone in this matchup. I love Dawson Knox this week. Continue to ride the hot streak with Dawson Knox. At number 5, we have Kyle Pitts, tight end of the Atlanta Falcons, going up against the New York Jumbo Jets in London. For this game, I like Kyle Pitts a lot because Russell Gage is not in the game. Neither is Calvin Ridley, who is out with a personal issue, which means who else are they going to throw the fucking football to? Cordero Patterson, Kyle Pitts, and Olamide Zacchaeus. He's going to be getting the ball as well. But I think this is going to be the game where Kyle Pitts has that true welcome to the NFL game, that true breakout game that really just jumpstarts his NFL career, where he has a big spot here up against the Jumbo Jets. If he cannot do it this week, then I'm not sure it is ever going to happen in his rookie season. Maybe next year. Better luck for Kyle Pitts, but right now, he has not been playing too hot compared to where a lot of people drafted him inside like the 4th, 5th, 6th round of their fantasy football drafts, but I do believe that he has a huge game, a huge spot this week up against the Jumbo Jets. At number 6, we have Mike Amagasicki, tight end of the Miami Dolphins, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Now, going into the season, everyone sucked off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, and I agreed with them, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense was fierce up against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They looked very good all throughout last season. I thought they would continue to look good in this season, but the injuries have plagued them. Their pass defense is atrocious. It is the worst pass defense in the National Football League in terms of yards allowed per game passing the ball. So, while the Dolphins' offense is limp dick with Jacoby Brissett under center, Jacoby Brissett is just fixated on throwing the ball 7,000 times a game to Mike Gesicki. So even up against the Bucs, even though I believe the Dolphins are going to get the shit beat out of them in this matchup, Mike Gesicki is still a very start-worthy tight end this week as my tight end number 6. At number 7, we have Mark Andrews, tight end of the Baltimore Ravens, going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Mike Gesicki just went to Pound Town up against the Indianapolis Colts defense, so it is entirely possible that Mark Andrews does the exact same thing. I think a lot of people are going to be high on the Indianapolis Colts this week, thinking that they're coming off that win. They got the first win of the season. They got the metaphorical monkey off the back of the season, and they're going to go into Baltimore in this game, and they are going to have a great game. I believe the exact opposite. I think Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens steamroll the Indianapolis Colts because they fucking stink. The Dolphins just made them look better, and I expect Mark Andrews to have a very solid showing on Monday Night Football. Have had a prime time spot this season. At number 8, we have Dalton Schultz, tight end of the Dallas Cowboys, going up against the New York Football Giants in Jerry's world. Dalton Schultz was one of those tight ends that basically no one drafted in the offseason, right? Everyone's like, you know what, it's probably going to be 50-50 between him as well as with Blake Jarwin, so you're never really going to know which one to start, so it is what it is, just don't draft him. And then obviously Dalton Schultz, as the season has gone on, clearly emerged to be the number 1 tight end out of that grouping. He's been scoring touchdowns like it's nothing. I expect him to have a pretty solid game this week. He is a very touchdown-dependent tight end, but when you're on the Dallas Cowboys, there's a pretty good shot that you're going to be scoring a touchdown. So I like Dalton Schultz this week up against the Giants defense. At number 9, we have Dallas Goedert, tight end of the Philadelphia Eagles, going up against the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. It seems like Jalen Hurts just is fixated. He just loves throwing the football to the tight end. Now, it's very aggravating every single fucking game when this man throws the ball to Zach Ertz instead of Dallas Goedert, because Dallas Goedert, in my opinion, is the better tight end. He is clearly the most start-worthy tight end out of the grouping, but Zach Ertz is a guy we're going to talk about in a little bit because he's still a start-worthy tight end, even though he's the number 2 tight end on the depth chart. Dallas Goedert, though, is still the number 1 guy up against the Carolina Panthers. This could be a very interesting game, and I like him every single week just due to how much Jalen Hurts likes throwing the ball to the tight end. Obviously, some weeks you're going to get screwed over because just Zach Ertz scores, but there are going to be a lot of weeks where both of them end up finding their way into the end zone. At number 10, we have Noah Fant, tight end of the Denver Broncos, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, my kind of thoughts on Noah Fant are 100% hinging on if Horsecock Drew Lock is the starting quarterback or if Teddy Two Gloves is the starting quarterback, because if Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback, then I'll stand here and I'll go bang, 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 bang. I'll bang the drums aggressively for Noah Fant. Now, on paper, this is a very tough matchup up against the Steelers defense, but I will just be way more confident in having him as a top 10 ranked tight end on the week if Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback, because when Drew Lock's the starting quarterback, he's a very momentum-based quarterback. He's a lot like Ryan Fitzpatrick, where if he gets hot in the game, then you're going to be seeing Drew Lock just throwing fucking lasers all game long, throwing dimes, looking amazing. But if he gets cold right at the beginning of the game, then he is going to be awful for the whole game. He's a very momentum-based quarterback, and if he plays in this game, you gotta hope that he starts the game off well. Otherwise, Noah Fant is going to be in the shitter for your fantasy lineup. Next up, we move on to tight ends 11 through 20. If you guys have ended up enjoying thus far, please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below. At number 11, make sure you hit that like button as well. At number 11, we have Hunter Henry, tight end of the New England Patriots, going up against against the Houston Texans in Houston. My biggest worry for Hunter Henry is not that he can't score a touchdown, because it's very clear that he can. He is getting outsnapped by Jannu Smith at this point, but he is out targeting Jannu Smith. So in my mind, he is the clear number one tight end in New England. My worry about this game is that they're going up against the Houston Texans, and that Bill Belichick doesn't really want to step fully onto the fucking gas, just jamming the gas down. Instead, he breaks a little. He taps the brake, he slows it down, and maybe he doesn't run a fucking train on the Houston Texans by throwing the football. He just gives the keys to Mac Jones, says, hey, Mac Jones, don't fuck this up. Don't throw an interception. We're just going to coast our way through this game and beat the Houston Texans 32-0 by running the ball to Damian Harris a million times. But, Nick, the offensive line is all hurt. I know the offensive line is all hurt, but at the end of the day, even if the offensive line is hurt, you can probably still run very easily on the Houston Texans defense. So I expect Hunter Henry to be solid. I just want everyone to kind of relax a little bit, thinking that Hunter Henry could potentially score like 4 touchdowns in this game because of how bad the Texans defense is. But I still do like Hunter Henry on the week. I just will calm down your expectations a little bit. At number 12, we have Bob Tonyan, Big Bob Tonyan, tight end of the Green Bay Packers, going up against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. I like Robert Tonyan this week, but he is one of those tight ends that revolves heavily on the touchdown. Now, he is in Green Bay, and it is very likely that Aaron Rodgers and the Cincinnati Bengals could get into a very high-scoring back-and-forth shootout affair in Cincinnati. The biggest issue, though, is if Tonyan doesn't score a touchdown, he's not going to see 7-8 targets every single game. He's going to probably get like 5 targets, and if he doesn't mosey his way on into the end zone, then he is going to be a huge disappointment on the week. At number 13, we have the man who got a revenge game up against the Oakland Raiders. They were really the Las Vegas Raiders now, but he was on the Oakland Raiders. Jared Cook, tight end of the LA Chargers, going up against the Cleveland Browns this week. Donald Parham also scored last week, but Donald Parham has like 5 fucking catches on the season, so I wouldn't be all that worried about him if you have Jared Cook on your lineup. I'm very comfortable starting Jared Cook this week. He is definitely one of those more touchdown-dependent tight ends, but again, once you get back here into this category outside the top 10, most tight ends are very touchdown-dependent, so Jared Cook is a fine option this week up against the Browns. At number 14, we have Tyler Conklin of the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Detroit Lions. Now, I want to rank Tyler Conklin a lot higher in my rankings, but I understand that this Minnesota Vikings team doesn't just funnel the ball to any player. They really do spread it out. They have Adam Thielen, they have Justin Jefferson, they have KJ Osborne, they have Tyler Conklin. They can dump the ball off to Dalvin Cook. If Cook doesn't play, they can dump the ball off to Alexander Madison. So this offense isn't really focused on just one player. Kirk Cousins isn't just feeding the ball directly, force-feeding to Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson like you probably would have perceived in the offseason. That was what I believed as well, so you're definitely not wrong on that, or I guess we were wrong on that, but thinking that, to me, at least in my opinion, was not the wrong thing to think. Tyler Conklin is a very solid player up against the Detroit Lions. There's a solid chance that he does find his way into the end zone, so he's tight end number 14. At number 15, we have Zach Ertz, tight end of the Eagles, going up against the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Now, again, with Zach Ertz, I basically really touched completely on him when I was discussing Dallas Goedert a little bit earlier, so at the end of the day, you're needing that touchdown for Zach Ertz, but with the fact that Jalen Hurts just throws the ball so much to the tight end position due to the fact that they typically use a lot of 2 tight end sets there in Philly with Nick Sirianni, I believe that Zach Ertz is a pretty reliable tight end this week. The Carolina Panthers defense is sneaky good, though. At number 16, we have Easy E. No hands himself, Evan Ingram, tight end of the New York Football Giants at the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World. Now, I would be much more confident, right? I'm telling you right now, Sterling Shepard isn't playing, Darius Slayton isn't playing, but to me it doesn't matter because Evan Ingram, while he is technically a very talented tight end, the guy can't catch the football, and even if he does catch the ball, he did last week, he played well, decently well, up against the New Orleans Saints, but what I'm telling you is that Evan Ingram isn't getting any deep targets. He's like 4 fucking feet away from Daniel Jones, so if that is what is going to him with a lower than 5 average depth of target last week, if that happens again, and he doesn't see like 8, 9, 10 targets, then his value is down the drain this week up against the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World. At number 17, we have Anthony Firkser, tight end of the Tennessee Titans, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Now, normally, Derrick Henry going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans they just take a back seat, the rest of the guys, they take a nice nap, they get in their fucking recliner, and they just watch Derrick Henry go to Pound Town all game long up against the Jaguars, but A.J. Brown is activated in this game, so maybe they try to cook it up a little bit in the passing game this week, and Anthony Firkser does have a pretty solid chance to score a touchdown because the Jags defense is so shit. At number 18, we have Mo Money, Mo Alley Cox, tight end of the Indianapolis Colts, going up against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore on Monday Night Football. Mo Alley Cox has been, at least last week, he was a very big target for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz looked a lot more healthy in that game up against the Miami Dolphins. But again, Jack Doyle is still there. There are a lot of other receiving options in Indianapolis, so that's why Mo Alley Cox is tight end number 18. But if he scores again this week, then he's going to keep crawling his way up the rankings. At number 19, we have Jannu Smith, tight end of the New England Deflatriots, going up against the Houston Texans. Now, like I said with Hunter Henry, Jannu Smith is out snapping Hunter Henry, but Hunter Henry is out targeting Jannu Smith. So in this game that I believe isn't going to be a complete and utter shellacking by the passing game of Mac Jones of the New England Patriots, I'm going to move Jannu Smith down to tight end number 19, but if he scores, obviously he will outscore that ranking. At number 20, we have Cameron Brate, tight end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going up against the Miami Dolphins. Now, I don't feel like it's a 100% lock that Cameron Brate is the number 1 tight end with Gronk out when compared to O.J. Howard, but I do believe that the Dolphins defense is going to tap out in the second half, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is going to be just eviscerating my Miami Dolphins. So with that said, Brate moves his way up to be a top 20 tight end in what could be a blowout up against the Miami Dolphins. Now on to the final tight ends 21 through 24. Number 21, we got double X, Max Williams, tight end of the Arizona Cardinals, going up against the San Francisco 49ers. This is going to be Trey Lance's debut game. George Kittle is likely to be out. I should have mentioned that right at the beginning of the video. That's why he's not in these rankings. Ross Dwelley is a very interesting start, but it is Trey Lance's first ever game, so I don't know how much he's going to aggressively look to pepper the tight end if the tight end is not George Kittle. When it comes to Max Williams, this situation is a lot like, in my opinion, the Minnesota Vikings, but a lot worse because the Arizona Cardinals have D-Hop, they have A.J. Green, they have Rondale Moore, they have Christian Kirk, and they have James Conner who can catch the ball, Chase Edmonds who can catch the ball. So it's a very loaded receiving core there. So if Max Williams finds the end zone, you'll be happy. But I don't think he's a very reliable player week in and week out. That's why he's tight end 21. At number 22, we have Austin Hooper, tight end of the Cleveland Browns, going up against the LA Chargers in LA. Austin Hooper is in a tight end by committee. For some reason, they like to use David Njoku a lot. Makes sense, David Njoku is talented, but why did you trade for Austin Hooper like 2 years ago? Whenever the fuck that was, maybe it was last year. If you're not going to use him exclusively, I don't get it. I mean, I guess it makes sense because David Njoku is good. With that said, unless Hooper scores, again, that's the problem. Is it seems like lazy analysis, right? Unless this guy scores, then he's going to be bad. But it's really true with all of these tight ends. Number 23, we have C.J. Uzomah, tight end of the Cincinnati Bengals, going up against the Green Bay Packers, the Cheeseheads. C.J. Uzomah looked great last week up against the Jags. Don't expect to see that, though, up against the Green Bay Packers. At number 24, we have Cole Kmet, tight end of the Chi-Town Bears, going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. In Viva Las Vegas, Cole Kmet has been snoozer. He's still sleeping. He's in the game, but he's sleeping. Even with Bill Lazor calling the plays, Cole Kmet is just not used at all. So I can't reasonably tell you that out of nowhere this motherfucker is going to have an amazing game and rank him inside the top 12. But eventually I believe it will happen and he will have a solid showing this season, at least at some point. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you do hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that like button down below as well. Love each and every single one of you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, goodbye.